goodness. Good morning, everybody. Happy Thanksgiving Eve. Welcome to the morning show here on Stock Market TV. You got Spencer, you got JC, you got Strazza, you got Chart Master Alfonso backstage making charts as we speak. Got a lot going on this morning. We're talking about things that we're thankful for, why we're thankful for a bull market, among many other things. We, of course, we're talking Nvidia earnings as well. A big overnight session for, or a big day, I should say, for like embattled tech CEOs, right? You had CZ, you had Sam Altman, a lot of things going on there. Today's guest, Jerry Parker, is on the schedule. Very, very, very excited for that. That'll be in about a half hour or so. So if you're watching on YouTube, you know the drill by now. Hit that thumbs up for me, please, and thank you. And guess we'll start the show.
Mr. Strazza, Mr. Spencer, how's everybody doing today? You know, in the old days, I would lose my voice after Thanksgiving Eve because we hit it too hard, right?
I was just thinking, it seems like we all need a day. It's good. I'm glad Thanksgiving is tomorrow.
Now I lost my voice. I wasn't even partying. I just lost my voice. And that's sad.
It happens.
The old days of Thanksgiving Eve, I remember going back to Miami, you know, when I was in college, and even after college, Thanksgiving Eve was a good time. See a lot of people you hadn't seen before. It's kind of like a reunion, right? Especially if you know, a lot of people that, you know, moved away after high school come back. It's a good time. But then after like probably 5 or 6 years of that, you're too old. Right?
Well,
Is that about right?
It's like the biggest bar night of the year.
That's what I was going to say.
College or where they live now.
It's a young man's game. I think once you're like past like 24, 25, that's it. You're too old. Now you're just like the old creepy guy hanging out, right?
Yeah, I haven't participated in a long time.
Yeah, but that window, it's a great window.
It's usually nice to see some old friends though, like when you're home for Thanksgiving. You know.
Yeah. So you're not interested in seeing your friends? You're not going home?
I told you this is the first year I'm ever doing that, and frankly, it's because I'm always traveling, going to Pennsylvania, hanging out with you. I was dreading the idea of getting back on a plane.
You don't want to travel this Thanksgiving. Everything I've seen is like brace for like the worst travel you've ever experienced in your life. So,
yeah,
my understanding is this is the biggest travel Thanksgiving of all time.
That's what they're saying. That's
some recession, huh?
TSA is changing.
Is that just an inflation thing? Isn't every next year going to be?
I don't know. Isn't it also like the cheapest that it's been in a long time also?
Flights are still crazy expensive where I live.
I don't know, man. I see people spending money, man. I don't know what recession these people are talking about.
There's no
more, you know, I think the market has it right. Consumer discretionary stocks continue to act really, really well. Yeah, even stocks that are not even considered consumer discretionary are acting really well. I don't know much about recessions. I think recessions are a choice for a lot of us. And I think that in this case, it's not even a choice. I don't know what people are talking about. People are spending money, man.
Everything looks good. The economic data is not suggesting we're in a recession. It's not.
I don't think anyone thinks we're in a recession.
Have you seen my Twitter feed? Have you seen the replies on my tweets?
No, I haven't.
People are very upset that things are so good in this world. You know, the world has never been a better place, and people are just angry. You know,
when do you think? When is the recession finally? Because one will come, and it's been a while already.
Did we already have one?
Yeah, I was gonna say we had one. Then they changed the rules. They moved the goalposts. Right, we went through that. That was last year.
That was last year, right?
Yeah, because remember, like, you know, the Biden can move the goalposts all he wants, but you know the market acted accordingly, did its thing, and now we're moving on. So like you could be like, oh, close your eyes, that didn't happen, but like we all know it did. So like it's fine, you know.
Maybe this time next year, recession. Right ahead of the election.
Zero chance. Yeah, no shot. We're gonna have a recession right before an election. You think they're gonna let that happen? Come on.
Rare.
Yeah, we'll probably have one maybe 2026 or something like that.
Be a long time without.
I
I
don't know.
know. I mean, Dow will be at 60,000, S&P 500 7,000. I mean, just think. I mean, we're gonna be at those levels, and like we're gonna look back, be like, remember how angry people were at the beginning of the bull market, which is, by the way, historically how bull markets go. So that would be pretty consistent.
There you go, fellas in the chat. There are your price targets from the one.
What did I say? 60,000 Dow, 70,000. Make it
Dow-
100. What the hell's the
Now
difference? Who cares?
100,000.
It's so irrelevant. Make it a million. What the hell's the difference? It doesn't matter.
Bitcoin million.
Bitcoin a trillion, right?
Oil 500.
Like Bitcoin can actually go to the moon. I mean, I don't know. Who cares? It doesn't even matter, right? That's just the whole thing is just so silly. And they prance around these sell side analysts like anybody gives a shit. Like, dude, nobody cares that you were the strategist at Merrill Lynch in 1992. Like, nobody cares. Like, all those people are dead now. Like, it's a new game, bro.
Let's hit on these two news items real quick, just because I think they're both pretty big, Spencer.
What? Wait, the CZ and the OpenAI, those two?
So you made a funny.
We're not even talking about NVIDIA. We're just gonna skip most important
You know what happened with NVIDIA?
announcement of all time.
Exactly what we talked about probably happening on here is what happened to NVIDIA. It was a snooze fest. It was a monster beat.
Huge beat.
And the market seems to have figured out that they have no idea where these numbers are going to come in. Not overthinking it. What's it
The
up?
market did. By the way, kudos to the buyers and sellers out there for really pricing in everything to the point where the biggest earnings release in history of earnings was a non-event. That's how good the market is. Kudos
Yeah,
to.
I mean, there are always algos buying and selling like in the seconds after the report, but those are just algos doing their thing, doing what they do. But yeah, the fact that we closed at what $4.99 and we're at 5.02 here. I mean, a $3 move in NVIDIA after a report like that. So yeah, it's
How
pretty,
about
option sellers win again.
yeah.
And I'm not seeing anything about sympathy moves either. Usually I'll come in beat. I'm not seeing anything today. So
it doesn't help that NVIDIA is like the last one out of the gates. The last.
That's
one
a
to
good
report.
point. Yeah, Broadcom's flat.
Yeah.
What else? AMD.
So again, market slowly figuring it out. Good.
All flat.
Okay, now OpenAI. I mean, literally, if you just ignored all these crazy headlines for the past 5 days, you miss nothing now, right? They're expanding their board.
Imagine if you would have just waited for closing prices instead of dealing with the ups and downs and the gossip over the weekend. Imagine if you would have just spent that time with your family.
What kind of shady move was Microsoft really trying to pull there, though?
We still don't know. There'll be a book about it one day, and we'll read it.
Forget the book. Well, okay, there will be a book, and then there will be a 12-part miniseries based on the book, and I'll watch the TV show. How about that?
So when Michael Lewis is on 60 Minutes talking about it,
I mean, that could have been the move of the century for Microsoft.
You think it's going to move the needle, bro?
I mean, I don't know
what some guy told me the other day. He's like, "Oh, I'm not worried about missing EA or Take-Two because I own Microsoft." I'm like, "Bro, you think the video game business is going to move the needle there at Microsoft?"
Dude,
boxes, yeah.
They bungled that one real bad. That was like 10 years ago. They still haven't recovered. But yeah, and then you had CZ in a move that I told Steve that was straight out of Billions, basically, right?
Yeah.
Out, leave the company, pay a fine, and your company will live to see another day.
And hold on,
no jail time for CZ.
It seems like no. It seems
or he'll take the 18 months, keep his $25 billion, and he'll be fine.
I think there's something to be said for cooperating in situations like this, right? They didn't blow up, they didn't lose people's money. They did some crazy illegal things, just to be clear. Very, very illegal things, funding terrorism, basically not segregating customer assets, stealing customer assets to cover other, obligations. So a lot of the same things that FTX did, but a very different punishment. And you know what's going to happen? He's going to leave for 3 years and he's going to come right back. He'll be the head of that company in 3 years again.
Okay. I don't really care about any of this stuff.
I know.
Can we talk about something important?
Sure.
Why don't you
Thanks,
hit that bumper? Why don't you hit that bumper?
Turkeys.
I think that I think Nvidia making new all-time highs on a relative basis is probably worth a look. You know, I think this chart is underrated.
Yeah, say more. Right? Yeah.
You know, also think about the denominator here. It's not like it's denominated in gold or something else that's shitty. It's not denominated in like, you know, ARC, right? You know, it's denominated in the S&P 500,
Yeah, man.
right? And it's making new all-time highs relative to the S&P 500. Like that's really impressive. You know?
Yes, it is. It's not an easy benchmark to beat. Ask active money managers.
And when you're outperforming the S&P 500 at this rate, this consistently,
Yeah.
in a healthy market environment, is this a trend you want to fight?
It's secular.
It's secular.
It's a good one. Been a good one for a long time. Continues to be a good one. I still, we had this conversation 2 quarters ago. It's not a stock I want to trade. I think it's
What
really
does that mean? It's a stock you put away and forget about it?
it's a stock you want to own. It's, Kramer, love him or hate him, say what you want, for years has said, pounded the table, don't trade Apple. You just own Apple. And that's the right call with a lot of these, mega cap.
I'm pretty sure that guy has said a lot of things.
Yeah. He's been right about Nvidia too. But this is one of those stories.
When you talk all day long, you're gonna just mathematically you're gonna be right about something.
I know.
You know,
Maybe he was a bad example, but I think the same applies for Nvidia. A lot of these big ones. Why trade it?
because there's a good risk reward that we outlined in our conference call this week, and I feel very strongly about that, and I really like the trade. And obviously, people pay a lot of money for these trades, so we're not going to go into it in detail. But we have a really, really nice trade on in Nvidia. I really like it a lot. For those of you who are in it, you know what we're trying to do here. I think there's opportunity. I think there's a lot of opportunity. So we outlined that. If you haven't watched the replay, Spencer, if you want to drop in a link where people can watch the replay. And then I have another interesting secular trend that I wanted to bring up.
Ooh, secular.
Yep, and that is slide 4, Spencer.
Yeah, Mark's right. Yeah, you could do both. Why not do both?
Why not do both? Because I don't want to. I like the trade that we outlined this week best for Nvidia. That's why I don't want to do both. And I have some long-term accounts that own the S&P 500 and are giving me exposure to Nvidia, right? And I own it, right? So that's fine. So I guess I am doing that, I suppose. But in my active stuff, I'm not gonna just, I'm not gonna do that.
These stocks excite you here?
These are secular uptrends, are they not?
A lot of sideways for a long time.
Yeah. What did it do before that?
Just saying.
We're talking 4, 5, 6 baggers.
I don't know. Yeah.
And then a multi-year consolidation. Gaming, esports, all this stuff. Is that a trend that you want to fight?
I don't understand this space the way I used to. I think the landscape has really changed for these video game companies. And I don't know what their futures look like, but these stock charts haven't been pricing in too bright of a future for too long now.
I think they were pricing in quite the future. and did it pretty quickly, and it's taken some time to digest those gains. And I think that EA is going to break out soon. I think these are names where you set your alerts at new highs, particularly EA, because it'll probably get there first.
Yeah.
You buy the breakout. No?
Listen, I love both of these companies. EA made Madden and a ton of other great sports games. And Take-Two, their claim to fame is Grand Theft Auto. Aren't many video games better than Grand Theft Auto. I mean, that game is just a blast.
And then which company owns Grand Theft Auto? Is that Take-Two?
Take-Two. Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty good
too. But for sure,
they keep coming up with like new ones and stuff.
Well, and that's what I mean. It's less about the consoles now and more of these digital games, I think, for a lot of these companies. I don't know if they're behind on that, or I don't know if Spencer has any insight. Again, I don't follow. I don't know.
I think you and Spencer are just too old to understand.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yes.
Yeah.
Agreed.
You guys are old men now, right, Spencer? Tell them how old you are.
Like, I used to understand how these businesses made money, what their futures kind of look like, right?
Spencer has gray hairs, back problems, like Spencer's getting old. What does he know about video games?
I actually did hurt my back moving, but no, to Strazza's point, I think the consoles are still like super important, right? But they're not everything anymore, right? Obviously, for a while there, the narrative was esports is going to be like the driver of these. It definitely hasn't played out that way. Some of the major players have pulled back. I think Overwatch League just got shut down, or some major esports league just got.
Mark just made a point. Like, they're trying to get into subscription businesses, right? Somehow.
Oh yeah.
Like, I don't understand it. I don't know. Why do you have to pay constantly? Video games?
Well, that's more a reflection of society, like at large. Like, ownership is going away. We are all just permanently renting everything in our lives. I mean, you don't own the videos you watch on Netflix, right? I mean, DVDs are passe.
It's an interesting point. So, you're right. It is a big theme in a lot of different industries.
Nobody owns their music. They just pay. They pay Spotify or Apple, right?
I don't own my cars, which is better that way. I lease them and I run them into the ground and I give them back, and then I get a new one.
I got a good one.
Right?
You don't even own the data that we use in many cases.
That's true.
That's fine. I don't have a problem with that.
Saying, like, we don't.
Yeah.
It's just how it's.
And like you own certain things. Like, I own my house, not because it's a good investment. In fact, historically, it's a terrible investment. But it's a luxury. What do you mean I'm wrong?
Homes are most people's best investments.
So why is that my problem?
Because why are you sitting here saying historically they're bad investments? That's not true.
They are bad investments historically. Do the math. What do you mean?
Okay. So really, I think what JC's saying, and I agree with it, is relative to other investments.
Yeah,
your primary house is pretty bad, right? Like,
if you own the S&P 500 instead of your stupid house, you would make a lot more money.
I think you want to own the home that you live in. I think that's important for a number of reasons. The people who live in it. You and your family.
Fine, but it's not an investment. It's a luxury.
No, it's a form of consumption, actually.
First of all,
it's a luxury.
The reason why it ends up being such a great investment for so many people is due to the illiquidity. They tend to hold it for the long run, not sell it at a bear market low like people do with their stocks, and it tends to just appreciate over time and becomes a big chunk. Also, it's usually by far the largest investment anybody has, right? So,
right, but all of those things you're talking about other people are not my problem. I'm talking specifically about people who have the option to invest in other things.
Okay, so you're both right, because to Steve's point, for most people, it is a form of forced savings. Like, you have to pay your mortgage, otherwise you're done, right? So
it's a terrible form of savings because humans are so bad at it that it forces them to do it. But there's a zillion better ways to save money.
Fine, but most people aren't going to do those things. So thank God for houses.
But ignorance and stupidity is not an excuse.
I'm I'm not going to sit here and argue that the world should work a different way or that people should be different than the way we know they are.
I have a calculator. I don't know if you have a calculator, but I have a calculator, and I can calculate that real estate historically underperforms the shit out of the S&P 500.
I like some of the stuff in the chat. Carrie, you're right.
You're both right. You're both right. You're both right.
500. I think
it's not my opinion. It's just math. It's just math.
Here, this is good. Houses are good investments for people who are bad investors. Yeah. Most people.
Like somebody's like, oh, he paid $300,000 for that in 1980, and now it's worth $1 million. I'm like, that sucks. Sorry.
Point about the leverage.
Not only does that suck, but if you think that's good, you are really dumb.
House is not a liability. God. Okay.
A house is a liability. Yes.
Move on.
All right. Anyway,
you know how much money I spent on my stupid house?
Can we talk NVIDIA for like NVIDIA in a vacuum for a second here?
Yeah, I don't know if I have anything else to say that hasn't already been said.
All right, fine. Then at the very least, I just want to say that in 12 months, this company went from $6 billion in revenue to $18 billion in revenue in 12 months. 6 to 18. It boggles the mind to think about that. Yeah, so that's all. That's what I want to say. The guidance was good. They talked about China a little bit. You know, they're working on some extra special slow chips for China. They said no near-term impacts of that, but they don't have the best visibility into the whole China chip situation. So they're working through it. But honestly, it was a blowout quarter, and I just wanted to say that. So we can move on.
And the China thing's no surprise, right?
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Been talking about it for quarters.
Yeah.
So, okay, great.
All right. There's a few others here. I don't know if you
look at new slide 3 there, Spencer. Quickly, I think isn't this the bigger story? Isn't this more important than any of these things?
I mean, they're both important. I don't know if it's more important, but they're both important. Sure. Yeah. I mean, semis. We talked about this ad nauseum, right?
I mean, this is it, right? Like, to me, it's less about NVIDIA or Avgo or AMD or whatever it is, and more just the chip space in general is making new all-time highs. So if you're asking yourself, is the S&P 500 going to make new all-time highs? Is the NASDAQ going to make new highs? The Dow's making new highs? When you look at something that's historically such a reliable leading indicator like semiconductors already making new all-time highs, for me, that sets precedent.
Do we have
so in other words, it would not be unprecedented for those other indexes to make new highs if semis are already doing so.
Here, throw this one up too, just to really drive this point home. New relative highs.
Get it? Drive the point home. Got it?
I just dropped it in the chat.
And some of these amortization schedules on these.
Okay. Oh my God.
Dude. You going back to the houses?
It's criminal, bro.
We've moved on. We've all moved on. You should move on. Join us, please, in the present.
Semiconductors taking out their dot-com bubble highs against the S&P 500. That's a monster base. Look what happened when the base completed on absolute terms several years ago. We're up, 3x from those levels? Now you're getting a similar base breakout above those dot-com bubble highs. On relative terms, these are important stocks, very risk on. Love to see them outperform. It's not bear market stuff. It's quite the opposite, right, Chasey?
Yeah, I mean, go back and, I tend to study history a lot. I really just can't help myself. I'm just always studying prior bull markets and bear markets and trying to understand the way the market dynamics change or are consistent in some ways. Semiconductors making new all-time highs on both an absolute and relative basis, based on my work, is not one of the types of things you see in bear markets. It's actually the opposite. Strength in tech is very consistent with healthy market environments, which obviously we're in if you haven't been paying attention. Dow futures up 50 points here pre-market. S&P 500 up 15 points, about 30 basis points. NASDAQ leading the way this morning, up 0.5%. Bond futures up again, up 0.5%. Gold and silver are flat. Copper down 1%. Crude oil down 4% this morning. How do you like me now? And dollar inching higher. Bitcoin ripping this morning up, after selling off yesterday. Bitcoin up almost 900 points, 2.5%. Ethereum up 5%, up 100 points this morning. Really, really making moves. The Doge is up 4%. Injective Protocol is up 10% this morning. Solana up 7% this morning. RNDR, which we talk about here constantly, up 8% this morning. The Matic up 4% this morning. Binance up 4% this morning. Near Protocol 5%. There's an underlying bid in all of these assets.
Yes.
And if you think it's a bear market, I would encourage you to maybe flip your charts upside down.
Listen,
back to the way we look at it.
Big sell-off yesterday, but this is, how these things have been trending. Look at Ethereum, more than gaining back all of yesterday's losses right here this morning. I wouldn't be surprised if the others look the same throughout the day.
Oh, wait. Can I say something funny about Bitcoin real fast? So my parents do not like cryptocurrency, right? They do not like Bitcoin at all. And so I think on
What
Friday,
is it that they don't? What is it that they don't like about it?
Well, I've joked about I was like, you guys should buy some. You guys should buy some Bitcoin, just a little bit, and they gag at the thought, right? So
why? But what is it? What is it that they don't like about it?
Because they're not technicians, so they're not looking at the chart, and they don't understand cryptocurrency, and it's fine. They don't have to understand it. But anyway,
do they understand oil and gas drilling?
I don't think they own it. Moving on. The point of the story was on what I think Thursday or Friday of last week. My dad texted me. He goes, "Hey, this may be a good time," because he knows I own a little bit of Bitcoin. He goes, "This may be a good time to sell some Bitcoin." And I go, "Actually, I just went and bought. I bought more." And he goes, "Okay, ... We'll talk at Thanksgiving."
Yeah,
nice.
So I think I'm in trouble.
No Thanksgiving then. Good.
Yeah.
My family doesn't ask me about anything. My family is not a good contrarian indicator. My grandmother specifically is the greatest contrarian indicator of all time, and I will report back. I was with her last night. I got no questions about any asset prices at all. She was more interested in the kids. But if she brings up any assets at all, sometimes she'll bring up gold. Sometimes she'll bring up Bitcoin. She keeps asking me when gold is finally going to start to rally. As soon as she stops asking me, that'll probably be the time. But she keeps asking.
That's when we get
because she has a lot of gold jewelry that she wants to sell. So she's like, I'm waiting till the right time.
My parents might not love Bitcoin, but boy, does my dad love the Ripple. Big fan of the Ripple.
What a junkie. What does he like about the Ripple?
I don't know. His chiropractor told him some story years ago. Yeah.
Well, as long as the chiropractor's in it, then it must be a good idea.
Hey, should I bring on our guest today? Very, very excited.
I think you should. I am very excited myself.
Jerry Parker, Chesapeake Capital, turtle trader. If you don't know his name, I don't know how that's even possible. Jerry, you good? I'm going to bring you on. All right. I think so. We're bringing him on.
Jay, we've been friends for a long time. Make the call.
I mean, this is pretty professional, guys.
Nice show you got going here.
Hey, Jerry. Whoa.
Hey.
Oh,
yeah.
What's that?
So what, you just got birds flying around your office?
That's right. That's right. My birds haven't seen me in 2.5 weeks. We just got back from Australia last night. So they're very excited to have me back.
And are these birds potty trained, or do you walk around with an umbrella? How does that work, Jerry?
They're not. They're definitely not potty trained, but not usually too much of a problem, honestly.
How often are these cleaning ladies coming in? I mean, that's I'm pretty
You
sure
can
my
always
wife
see.
is not
You're
gonna
very
allow
intuitive.
birds.
No, it's a mess. And my desk is horrible. So it looks like I have a nice office because you can't see my desk.
That is so cool.
You have a beautiful office.
What kind of bird is that?
These are cockatiels. There's two of them. This is my the one who's really in love with me. She is very happy to see me this morning. The other one is not quite as friendly, but Yeah.
That's too cool.
Yeah, really fun.
You know, a lot of people have heard your story before, but some haven't. Do you want to give the quick elevator speech of what a turtle trader is and why we should care?
I sure do, and that story never gets old. I was in my mid-20s in 1983, and I answered an ad in the Wall Street Journal. Richard Dennis, come to Chicago, and we will train you and give you money to trade. And it was futures, commodities at the time, and that's what happened to me. So I was one of, I think 2,000 people applied, and they hired 20. So they taught us how to trade. January 1984. You know, trend following, rules based. And we only had like 20 markets back then: grains, metals, crude, a few currencies and stock indices, and some bonds. So, yeah, and so they nicknamed us the Turtles for some reason. And those were great 4 years of, get understanding how to trade from those guys, and the mentoring and the encouragement on trading. So we had kind of a pretend environment. The whole idea was follow the rules, do the right trades. It doesn't matter what your performance is, at least initially. And even sometimes when we lost money, they gave us more money. So it was not anything I experienced in the real world.
How old were
Clients
you, Jerry?
I was in my mid-20s. And so I was, very young and very.
Why did they choose you? I mean, you said what, a couple of thousand applicants? 20? How many applicants did you say?
Yeah, 2,000 over 2 years. I was in public accounting, so I didn't really have a trading background, and they sent a test out. Everybody who applied got a test, and a true-false test, 100 questions. It was about trading and psychology and how to think about markets, and are you a contrarian? Are you a trend follower? That sort of thing. So I had the highest score out of 1,000 people. And I think that's why they wanted to hire me. They wanted to hire a couple of people who did well on the test and hire people who did poorly but had better resumes, like blackjack players or backgammon players. They hired an actor.
Yeah.
They wanted a diverse group of people, and so I got lucky because I did well on that test.
Then is this like trading places where like they had a bet to see if they could teach somebody how to trade? Like, was it like were there like higher level bets going on for like $1? Like, was there anything going on there?
I doubt it, but I definitely think Richard Dennis thought that trading could be taught. Of course, it was just a bunch of rules, and his partner Bill Eckhart thought, yeah, I doubt if it can really be taught to the degree that people will accept it and follow the rules and do the trades. And that's the hard part. You can teach people the rules, but it's difficult to get them to follow those rules, especially when times get tough and you're losing money. And the rules are not rules that you would really like to follow. They're not fun rules. You have to sit there with drawdowns and let profits turn into losses, things like that.
It's really interesting, though. You came in with an accounting background, little to no knowledge about technical analysis. They just wanted people who are smart and teachable, and they figured they would teach you everything on the job.
Exactly. And it was preferable that you didn't have a background. They didn't have to unwind you any bad ideas. I didn't know anything about the stock market, really. I guessed that trend following was what they were going to teach us, because a lot of the test was based on trend following ideas. And I thought trend following was great. I had done a little bit of research, so they didn't need to convince me how wonderful trend following was. Now, the actual implementation of the trend following was difficult for me. The most important thing about trading, number one rule is do the trade. You got to do the trade, and was my hardest thing to do. Is I couldn't do the trades. I was too afraid to lose money.
Right.
Taking small losses is not as hard as putting that trade on, because you might take a small loss. There's a little bit of a difference there.
Let's talk about the specifics. Turtle trading, Turtle Traders trend following system. We see charts on Twitter every day with 18 different moving averages and every momentum indicator in the world and diagonal trend lines. How are you guys following trends? What kind of technical tools are you using to do that?
Shockingly simple tools to get us in gear with the trend. We use breakouts, and that's all I continue to use is breakouts. I don't use the moving averages as much. But yeah, breakouts and different time breakouts. So maybe you have a couple of different systems or 10 different breakout parameters to give you some diversification. The trend following needs a lot of diversification. We trade a lot of currencies, commodities, stocks, interest rates all around the world. Then you overlay that with 4 or 5 different entry points, exit points, and that really helps out quite a bit.
So you're scaling in and scaling out. Always.
That's right. It looks like you're scaling in and scaling out, but it's really the independent application of these independent systems. It kind of may look like you're buying high, it goes up, you buy more, but it's really that the 50-day breakout, you buy some, then the 75-day breakout, you buy some more, on and on.
So you're buying new highs.
Buying new highs. Oh, yeah. That's something I've done for this is my 40th year. So, yeah, it never gets old. It's always fun.
How do you find the opportunities? You're obviously scanning. You have your universe of assets that you're willing to trade, and you're scanning for 20-day new highs, 50-day new highs, whatever time frame. You're saying is it as simple as that, or is there some sort of secret sauce?
It's even simpler than that. Trend following, the way I was taught, and the way that I think most CTAs do it, is the weirdest thing going as far as the markets. It's sort of a fixed universe, fixed portfolio.
Okay.
So you just find the stocks, the bonds, the currencies, commodities, you put them in your portfolio, then you start applying those rules. Sometimes you have to take out a stock because it gets taken over or whatever, goes out of business.
Right.
I guess some of the futures go away as well, but it's pretty much, we're not really looking for NVIDIA or the next hot stock. We've just got our universe of stocks and we're just applying those rules.
What is your typical time frame, and how do you make the decision to get out, or price target decisions?
The typical time frame has been the big change. That's been really the biggest, maybe only change for me, is to have to trade longer term. The markets were more trendy, less choppy, less computers back in the 70s and 80s. Now it's pretty choppy. To hang on to these long-term trends, you've got to sit through a lot of ups and downs. So our average holding period is about a year, believe it or not.
Wow.
Yeah, it's kind of, and then you got to sit there and
turtle investor.
Yeah, you're really a turtle. That's right. You got to sit there and let these big trends kind of reverse sometimes, and then they go down and you lose a lot of profit, or they reverse and go right back up to new highs. And so we kind of pay attention to the back test. If the back test said, don't be so long term, trust me, we would love not to be so long term. But the back test pretty much says you cannot be too long term. You're a human. You want to get out of that trade. It's the high. It's the you call it the top to some degree. You're fearful of giving back more profit. And the computer says not so fast. Hang in there. Try to be tough. And if you want to make the most amount of money.
So you alluded to technologies, the rise of computers. Did trends used to be cleaner or more orderly before all this systematic trading and computerized trading?
It certainly looks like it. Like in the late 90s, it looked like the old turtle systems, the 20-day high, the 40-day high, that sort of has gone away. You asked me earlier about the exit. The exit is just purely another breakout exit, like the 100-day low, 150-day low. So it's pretty long holding period. So you're just buying the breakouts to the upside, selling the breakouts to the downside, going flat to short. That's assuming it long. We do the same thing on the shorts, So it's just looking at these charts or programming it into a computer that basically looks at all these breakouts.
So you're at this over 40 years now, by my math. You said 1982?
83, December 83. So coming up on 40.
Got it. Well, congratulations. There's some people who have been doing this for maybe a few years, less than 10 years. I mean, I'm at 20 at this point, so you got a double on me. But and I'm interested in your thoughts as well. For someone new to investing, someone who's watching this show, to get some perspective on how to approach the marketplace. Over the last 40 years, you've clearly gained some wisdom. You've talked to a lot of investors all over the world. What are some thoughts that you want to, kind of share with some of the newcomers?
Well, mostly I've made a lot of mistakes, and it's, kind of like not being disciplined and making mistakes. It's never really worked out well for me. So I have nothing to look back on and from a discretionary point of view and say, oh, wow, maybe I have some discretion as well. some discretionary talents. But I think, the most important thing for investors is to have a systematic plan, an approach, some simple rules that they can follow. Hopefully they work, and now you've maybe done some back tests, or you've seen what it takes to hang into these long-term trends that can really last for years, 1 or 2 years. We've been short the bonds, for a long time. That's been a really good downtrend. So number one is the rules, and then the discipline to follow them. I think that's what they told us in 1983. The two most important things about trading are following your rules and trading small. In our world, we use a fair amount of leverage with the futures and even with the stocks. So you have this ability to be pretty risky or be kind of conservative. So let's start out, at least initially, when you're starting with this systematic approach, to not to use too much leverage, trade small, take small losses, because you're going to make these mistakes. You want to make mistakes with a small amount of money, and the tuition. You want this trading tuition to be kind of low.
So much of what you're saying, speaks to a simple yet thoughtful and very sensible strategy. Why do you think so many people make investing so hard or complicated?
Well, I think that for me, I don't see investing outside of pretty much what I do. The rules, the take small losses, let profits run. I think it is hard for people to take small losses. I think it's a huge mistake when people don't diversify maximally. With the stock account, even you can do some stocks and bonds and some maybe commodity ETFs, maybe some currency ETFs, and just try to put some shorts on. Oh, for God's sake, that's really an important thing. You've got to have shorts. We trade so many equities, and we have a healthy short. There's just a lot of stocks in downtrends, especially now, and some in uptrends. So letting profits run. Everyone you ever talk to about trading, regardless of how much experience, we always get out of our profits too quickly. It's just what we do. We just cannot stand giving back all of this money that we've worried about for so long. So trying to have an approach and follow the rules that you at least stay in as long as your rules say you should. But that is really, I think, the key, is that people are shocked at how far some of these trends can go. I brought up earlier, I sent you a list of a couple stocks. One was Eli Lilly. And this thing has just been in a monster uptrend. It's one of the greatest trends. I'm not long. I missed it. But my son, who I taught a little bit of trend following, he hit this stock and he told me about it the other day. And I'm like, oh my God, this is incredible. And he says, yeah, it's dominated my whole performance. And I think that's another big rule. You're going to hit these big winners if you go with the trend, and they're going to dominate positively your whole performance. It's going to mean everything to you, at least for a certain year or two. And that's his whole account is, making money because of this stock. It's one of the best trends I've ever seen, stock, bond, currency, or commodity wise. It's just an amazing trend. And you can see about halfway up, it had a huge drawdown, but he just kept with it and never got out.
This is now the 9th largest company in the S&P 500. Really incredible.
We have a bearish bet on it.
That's right.
We have a put spread here short term over the next few months, so it's not like
Oh no, that happens all the time when I talk about long-term trends. Someone will say, "Oh, it's such a long-term trend. I think it's going to reverse," and a lot of times it does. Of course, I told people the other day, "Oh yeah, when you're buying these bonds, I'm so happy because they're probably at all-time lows. I go home at night, I'm just so excited. This trend has made this money." And then these guys come out, Ackman comes out and says, "I'm covering my bonds," and it's the low, and I'm like, oh crap. That's the fate of all trend followers, is that we're so frequently embarrassed by staying so long in these positions.
With something like Lilly, JC, this is a good example, right? Because it's become a story stock. I think part of the reason we have a bearish bet on it has a lot to do with sentiment. We just think a lot of it's priced in. Do you consider that at all? Right, like Eli Lilly's in the news every morning with these new weight loss drugs. You completely ignoring that as a trend follower?
I mean, I'm ignoring it now because we everything is sort of computerized and math and numbers based. But back in the day when we first started trading with Richard Dennis in 1983, 84, this sort of contrary opinion idea was a big part of what he did. He would say, like, if you have a trade on and you see it in the front page of the paper, be kind of worried about that trade. You may want to get out of some, like you just said. And he said, if you get into a taxi, there was no Ubers back then. you get in a taxi and your taxi driver says, "What about Eli Lilly?" or "What about those soybeans?" You should be very worried. Get out right then and liquidate. So that was a big part of what Rich wanted us to pay attention to. It just didn't get written about, and we kind of all forgot about it. But I think that sort of spiciness, add that spice to your technical trading is a really good idea. I've used it over the years a few times, especially when you have, like, the news says one thing, like maybe even yesterday, I haven't followed it overnight, but maybe NVIDIA, the news says higher earnings, everything's great, and then the stock goes lower. So you have news saying one thing and trends saying something else. You may want to take that into consideration.
Jerry, can we talk about the Pareto principle? We have a friend of yours here who wants to say hi. What's up, Sean?
Hey, Jerry, how are you, buddy?
Good morning, Sean. How are you?
Little surprise pop in here. Man, when the guys told me that you were going to be on the show yesterday, it was news to me, and I was like, yes, Jerry. These guys know it, but maybe our audience doesn't know. But Jerry was one of the earliest influences on my trading career. Jerry has been very generous with me over the years. We've had a lot of conversations. And in my early days, Jerry was a mentor to me, even though he didn't know it. I started a small hedge fund back in the early 2000s, trading commodities in the turtle style, like what Jerry does, trend following. And I've told Jerry this story, but when I was putting together my fund, I had to put together the disclosure docs and operating agreements and all the legal stuff. I was basically bootstrapping it, doing it on my own. I went online and found all of Jerry Parker's documents, and I plagiarized the shit out of his stuff to help me get my fund started. So I owe a lot to Jerry. So Jerry, awesome to see you, buddy.
Oh, thanks for popping in, Sean. Good to see you too. I'm glad you did that, because I never participated in any of that stuff. Thankfully, I always had good people doing that legal and compliance crap. So
word of advice: don't do what Sean did. Get an attorney.
That's right.
Yeah. In hindsight, it's hilarious what I did and actually got away with it. But hey, man, I was bootstrapping, and I was faced with two options. I could have hired a proper hedge fund type law firm to put all the docs together for me, and I was quoted a price of around $50,000 for them to do that.
All right. Yeah.
Or I could find all the documents online of people who were doing similar things that I was doing, copy everything word for word, just change a few things to make it more my own. And then I had some lawyer friends who worked at a law firm, and I said, hey, I'm going to give you this stuff. I just need you guys to read it and give it a good blessing. And that
anybody's listening out there, don't do that.
And that only cost me $1,500. So that seemed like a good trade to me.
Don't do that. Hard no. Yeah. Jerry, I think this is really important. You've been at this almost 40 years. We all hear about the Pareto principle, 80, 90% of your returns come from 10, 20% of your trades and things like that. As a trend follower, as somebody who's stressing, being in these things and letting your winners really run, can you really speak to the truth and the power of that Pareto principle? How real is that?
Well, it's definitely real if you're trend following, and if you're doing really letting your profits run without regard to increased volatility or increased correlation. It's a winner, you're going to handle it like it's a winner and not even care about anything else. If it's a loser, you're going to get out pretty quickly. Then that is what happens. It is, in one sense, it's easily doable. You can do it. Anybody listening can do it. So that's good news. But on the other hand, it's incredibly hard to do psychologically, to sit there with those trades and to implement a strategy that the back test is sort of blessed as, hey, if you want to make the most amount of money, this is how long you have to hold on to those trades. So on one hand, we all profess that we can do it, but it just takes a lot of practice and a lot of, for me, it took a lot of practice, a lot of time to not to get freaked out when all that open profit was at risk, and I just wanted to take some of it off, and it got really volatile, and it kind of will dominate your whole performance. You put these trades on with, let's say, an equal risk weighting, and then about 6 months in, it's like 10 times as big, and it really is dominating your portfolio. And people will tell you, well, then just get out, just get out of some, or don't let that occur. But that's the secret of trend following, is that you really need to do that in order to make this system work. Well, Jerry, you need those profits. You're going to be losing.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. This speaks to one of the greatest quotes that Richard Dennis ever had. And I'm paraphrasing here. I don't know exactly how he said it, but he had once said that you could publish my trading rules on the front page of the Wall Street Journal, and I guarantee you very few people out there would have the same positive results that I've had. And the reason why that is true is what you're talking about with the winners. The hardest trade for any trend follower to hold is that trade that you get into that starts ripping in your direction right away. Now, that sounds like a good thing, but so many traders who, especially with this style of trading where you have a high loss rate, right? You're losing far more than you're winning. And when you get that big winner right away, every bone in your body wants to take that profit because you just sat through 12 losers in a row, right? So you want to take that winner and take it off and book that profit. But those are the trades that you have to hold, and those trades are so hard, and that's why the average person can't succeed with this style of trading because they can't sit on their hands and let a good thing go.
That's right. And I think that was the original thing that Rich was getting at, that you can't do it, even though I can give you the rules. It's just so hard to do. And the turtles were told, like, here are the rules, here's the money. If you lose money, here's more money, maybe, if you're doing the right thing. And the bottom line is just do the right trades. Totally pretend environment. And we struggled to do it with all that encouragement and all that mentoring. However, I think now it's also taken on a new meaning, which is when I mention this to people, they not only maybe not want to do the trades or be able to do them, they will argue with me. No, you're wrong. That's not how to trade. There's other better ways to trade. You don't have to do that. And I'm just like, okay. So I think there's more disagreement on those good rules than there ever has been before. Not just they're hard to do, but I've been in business for 6 months and done a back test, and I think you're wrong. So I find that sort of humorous.
Yeah, it's hard to do. It goes against human nature, and we all want to do the easy trades. We want to, we all agree that cutting losses quickly is smart, and in some respects that's easy. You can systematize that, but man, it's a totally different psychological game to sit on your hands while something is going in your direction, and that's what you have to do, especially in your style of trading with trend following. It's essential. If you don't have those big winners, then the math doesn't work. You have to have them.
I got one more question before we let Jerry go. Jerry, why birds and not a cat or a dog?
I love this.
Why birds?
I have 5 dogs, and
So,
the bird, this bird. My wife was walking the dogs a few years ago, and this bird landed on her head outside. So it's a rescue bird. And then she came inside, and I was like, get rid of that bird. I don't like birds. They're kind of gross. I don't know anything about birds. I don't like them. And she was like, oh, as all good wives, she totally ignored me. She ordered a bird cage on Amazon, so we know the exact day we got her. And then this bird just wouldn't leave me alone. And she just would land on my head, follow me around. I tried everything to get rid of her, but then I sort of fell in love with her, and it's been this way ever since.
So then you just got another one?
They're really, yeah, we got another one. So they're really special. They're really fun and loyal, and it helps me during the trading day. Yeah, that's it. The trading day. She's very calming.
I like it. Good for you. Good for you. My wife would not allow birds in my house, and I'm okay with that, I think.
Yeah.
Well, JC, if the Gators and the Hurricanes meet in the Outback Bowl this year, because we'll be lucky to get that, we'll have to go hang out with Jerry Parker. He lives in Tampa.
Is that where the Outback Bowl is in Tampa?
It's in Tampa. That's right.
All right. I like it.
Yeah.
Jerry, thank you, man. This was awesome. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Good to see you.
Thanks for letting me pop in, boys.
It was awesome.
I mean, Sean's like a fanboy. Like if we get Jerry Parker or like Doug Flutie, Sean's got to be in here for the conversation. Sean has a man crush on
don't get your hopes up for Doug Flutie, Sean.
Come on, Spencer. You could get Doug Flutie. All right, market's about to open. I'm out. I'll talk to you guys
later. All right, see you, Sean.
That was awesome.
And he's gone. That was I did not see that coming with the birds. That was a very pleasant surprise. I loved it.
Coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
He wins best office. I need an office bird.
You do not need an office bird. Nobody says that. That's not a thing.
Those birds were extremely well behaved birds, I have to say.
They love
sat there
him.
the whole.
Did you see how they just love him? It's fantastic. So
Yeah,
cool.
it's ridiculous.
The interview was great, though. I just one thing that I take away every time I listen to Jerry talk is the simplicity, right? Like I tried to kind of ask about that a little bit. It's a very simple, it's very thoughtful, and like I said, sensible approach to investing, but it's nothing crazy. It's not rocket science, right? Like he's buying breakouts, he's buying new highs, he's being patient, and he's following his rules. He's got a clear process. It's repeatable. It's great. I love it.
But isn't there bird shit everywhere? I just don't understand. Like, I just don't understand. Like, there's got to be bird shit all over the house. Like, I don't understand.
JC's not a pet person. Is that fair?
I had a dog my whole life.
You're not a pet person.
I don't have a pet because I have 3 kids, so I have enough pets for all intents and purposes. I have enough animals running around the house.
You don't want a dog. You'll probably never have a dog.
No, we're gonna get a dog when my daughter asks for one. That's what my wife says.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, great. I'm excited for that. I can't wait to hear you call me and complain about having to walk your dog and this and that.
I don't think I'm gonna dislike walking the dog. A lot of like dudes like get him out of the house. I wouldn't mind having a dog right now, especially to clean up all the food that's on the floor. Because my kids throw food all over the kitchen.
Yeah, dog will eat it. It'll be great.
Dog will eat it.
Sure.
So we don't have that. So we actually have to clean it old school.
Greg in the chat recommends an office bird. He has one too, he says. So I didn't know this was a thing, but apparently it's a thing.
I think that's just Jerry Parker and Greg in the chat.
Okay. All right, fair. Hey, let's do a couple more stocks this morning. John Deere getting hit overnight on their report yesterday, they reported this morning. Net income for John Deere well below estimates. They gave some net income guidance as well. That was also well below estimates. So stock down on this report here this morning. And look at that uptrend and consolidation and uptrend.
It's been a great company, but it's been a laggard over the short term.
Yeah,
I don't have anything on this.
Okay.
I mean, it's a nice base, man. It's a nice base. It's coming. It's coming. When industrials get going, you don't think Deere is going to follow?
No, it should. I would agree it's coming too. I mean, this is an economy stock. It's really pro-cyclical.
What does that mean, an economy stock? What does that even mean?
They do better in good economies, right?
And are we not in a good economy?
Yeah. So you want to see this start doing better, for sure. Yeah, it's an economy stock, right? The business cycle matters. Unlike, I wouldn't call a software company an economy stock.
No,
I would not.
Okay.
Unless the software company's customers are all, industrial players and things of that nature.
Yeah.
In which case it is. Right. Yeah. All right. So we also had HPQ, we had gas, we had Nordstrom. I don't know if any of those interest you guys, but we have all those charts out there ready. Gas got hammered pretty hard on its report.
It's just been retailer after retailer.
I know. Well, we're done now. This was it. We're done.
God.
No more.
So JC gets 6 weeks off now?
Yes.
From this pain?
Yes.
I was off this whole time. I let you guys talk about the earnings. I really could give a damn. They're just like landmines as far as I'm concerned, which Sean and I just try to avoid.
I feel like
really
you
all
like
it is.
talking about it, though. I feel like you like hearing what's going on. No?
I like hearing that it already happened. I'm more interested in that. Like, oh, okay. Like,
well, do I have news for you, JC? They already happened.
Thank God. Yeah, I'm more interested in just like being past it. Like, how like the market doesn't really give a damn about who the president is, right? The market is just more interested that there's a president. It's kind of how I feel about earnings. I don't really care about the earnings. I just care that the earnings already passed.
Okay, they're out of the way. There was no disaster. That's all you care about.
Or there was a disaster that I avoided, or it popped and I missed it. But like whatever, So like something like Nvidia, like this is like the best case scenario for someone like myself. Like all these people getting all worked up about the most important earnings in the history of companies, and then it's a big nothing burger. Like to me, that's just perfect.
I got a cool chart.
Show me.
First of all, hey, Twitter. they just can't stop. Elon Musk, he really makes it hard to like him.
Why? What do you do now?
I mean, he just makes it so hard to be liked.
What is he making hard? I don't understand. What did he do?
So what did he say? He said something anti-Semitic. I looked for it on X. I couldn't find
Did
it.
he say something anti-Semitic, or did
That's
people
what I
take it
heard.
that way?
No,
Does anybody know the story? You guys know the story?
He didn't say something. He just
Retweeted
he retweeted, which whatever. Yeah,
Was
honestly,
it actually anti-Semitic?
I confess I didn't see it either because I about I don't know 6 or 8 months ago I decided I had just Elon fatigue, just way too much
Yeah.
Elon. So now I just sort of tune him out. So I really try not to pay attention too much to like what he says and what he does. And so I really don't really know the story. I sort of get it by osmosis, but I don't really know the details. And
Like knowing Elon Musk or what we do know about him, do you think he's actually anti-Semite? Like, probably not. Right?
No, I think I think he's so brilliant. He's a genius, but he's an idiot. Like he's like a really, really dumb person when it comes to like common
Well, he's
sense.
on the spectrum, isn't he?
He's got some spectrum to be on. I mean, what? No,
he's got some loose screws. You have to be.
Yeah, you have to be crazy to be someone.
You have to be. Yeah, you have to be a little bit on the edge there. Some loose screws. But we know that. Like we know other people that are like that. We don't need to mention any names, but we know some other people, and they're brilliant in their own ways and crazy and stupid in others.
Problem is, everybody's out here pulling ads, right? So like he affects his businesses, right? Like Apple pulled out, Disney pulled out. Just bad business. Shut up, man.
Isn't he the richest guy in the world?
Yeah, but still,
he will be fine.
Sounds like he's doing something right.
I'm saying he's not making his life any easier, and he's not making anything better for his business.
Yeah, but I don't think he's trying to make his life easy. Wasn't he like sleeping in a cot in his warehouse for like all these years or something?
That's his whole thing, Steve. Is he relishes the pain. He lives for the pain. So
he's a masochist.
It's a strange guy.
That's what he is.
Really strange.
I'm more of a nihilist.
Okay.
I believes in nothing, Lebowski.
Yeah.
Like like in that scene where like he walks out with the rug and Bunny Lebowski's kind of hanging out, painting her nails, and the guy's passed out on the pool. Like, yes, that's what I want to do. I want to be the guy passed out in the pool.
But we were at IKEA over the weekend, as I mentioned, and we get to the rug section, and we do need a rug. And I said to my wife, "We need a rug. The rug ties the room together." And she did not understand my reference, which was disappointing. So, what are you going to do? All right, it's 9:33 here. We're not going to have Mary today. Mary is in Disney World, so great for her.
Speaking of Disney, there you go.
Yeah.
She's going to do some due diligence, scope it out for JC, who's going soon as well. Everybody's doing Disney. Spencer, when are you going?
Dude, I don't know, man. I was there in 2018.
Spencer doesn't have any kids. What the fuck's he going to do?
Oh
Disney
my God!
No. I've got friends that are like the annual Disney people, and they've been trying to get me to go with them for.
You don't want to be one of those people.
We're the annual Disney people.
They just love Disney. They go like all they
grown adults that go to Disney World instead of going to like I don't know anywhere else. Like,
dude, come on, don't hate on people's hobbies, dude. Come on,
grown adults going to Disney World together. Like, come on, like you're not. You have some issues. Come on,
it is a thing. There are a lot of people like this. I know plenty of them. Friends with some of them. You know some of them. Good friend of the show. Big Disney freak. We know people. I'm just saying. It is a thing. I don't agree.
Who's a good friend of the show that's a big Disney freak?
I'm going to embarrass them.
I have no idea who you're talking about. Todd. No, I have no idea. Jeff Hirsch? I don't know.
Todd loves Disney.
Todd Sohn?
Yes.
Yeah, but he has kids.
I think it's more than that.
I'm talking about like a group of adults going to Disney World instead of, I don't know, Spain,
I know what you're talking about.
Montreal. I mean, anywhere.
Okay. All
right. There's nothing wrong with you like what you like. Okay, don't listen to JC. Like what you like.
I agree with Julio or Stock Market Mike. Disney without kids is creepy. Yeah, that's probably right.
Whatever, man. I was there in 2018. It was just fine. So,
dude, I went 20 years without going to Disney. 20 years without going to Disney, and in the same year, I went to Disney Orlando, Disney LA, and Disney Tokyo. In the same year.
Okay. Do we have anything for Hot Corner today? I think I saw some stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Hit it.
hot corner.
So hot right now.
Okay. Have you guys tried the kava yet?
Oh yeah, I had it months ago.
Spencer did.
It was mediocre. It was not better than Chipotle, I thought.
JC, when you go into Manhattan, you can't take one for the team and go try kava. You have to have an omakase.
No, I'm
time.
just too selfish. I'm just too
Okay.
selfish.
That's
I've
the
thought
truest,
about it.
Truest words I've heard today.
It's too much about me. And when I'm in New York City, the greatest city in the world, and I can eat like any cuisine I want, I'm just not going to go to a fast food restaurant. I'm just not going to do it. I care too much about myself.
Listen, I'm going to give you this one because I think if you called me on your way home from the city and you told me you had kava for lunch, I'd be very disappointed. I would
if I lived in the city like I did back in the day, or worked in the city and I was there every day, fine, that's one thing. But like the other day, I was there for one night and we had two dinners. We had first dinner and second dinner, and neither one of those were fast food. They were, New York City institutions, because that's how I roll.
So we've discussed it internally. I think we're going to have Giancarlo make us dinner themed shirts.
Dinner. Yeah. I mean, listen, it's the way to do it.
It's a big part of our company culture.
Yeah.
Oh, I think we need gear.
Speaking of company culture, we love when Baker Bros are making moves. $24 million purchase. Does that fit the bill?
Magical. It's not new, but love to see Baker Bros on the list. I didn't bring the chart along. I think we've showed it on here before.
Yeah,
times.
They bought some last week, right? A whole bunch.
Yeah,
it's just so gappy. I mean,
well, look at a weekly or a monthly chart.
You really have to. You almost have to look at it with a line chart. Bristol Myers really stood out today, though. Like, we can go down the list here. Madrigal, we've talked about before. Impinge, Celebra just keeps coming out, buying more and more of this stock. We talked about it before. Kava, we've talked about before. SoFi, nothing new. Anthony Noto just devouring shares. Bristol Myers, though. Theodore Samuels, 423,000, not nothing. This is one of those stocks, JC. I don't know if it was you or somebody else I was talking to yesterday. I was saying in healthcare, they either look fantastic or terrible. Bristol Myers is in the second basket. I mean, not one you want to buy, right? Throw up the chart.
I mean, we've talked about this. This is something that we want to buy on a breakout. It just hasn't broken out.
I mean, it's a double away from a breakout.
Right.
Like, it's just, I don't know. Buy the ones that already broke out of these massive bases. We've talked about those on here as well. Boston Scientific is a hot corner name. BSX, Merck, beautiful base. Stay away from the Pfizer. Stay away from the Bristol Myers that just can't get through their highs from 25 years ago.
Can you throw up slide 2? This is the Madrigal Pharmaceuticals. MDGL.
This is not a Spanish company. There's no reason to pronounce the company name that way. You don't know that this is a Spanish company. Why are you? What are you doing?
Listen, when you're an expert at the Romance languages, and you can come talk to me about how to pronounce things, but since you are not, you speak one language barely.
You look for any excuse to flaunt your Spanish skills.
No, quite the opposite. I'm constantly complaining that it never comes in handy. And my wife's like, well, you used to get free extra onions at the tacos. Yeah.
I've heard this story before.
I mean, if that's where you have to go.
I always think of Breaking Bad. Madrigal is the name of the company in Breaking Bad at the end.
Great show.
Yeah.
What a show.
That's what this reminds me of.
I was getting some slack in the chat yesterday because I'm always pumping HBO, which is true. So fair comment. But Breaking Bad, non-HBO show. I think it's on Netflix. So.
I think it is. Speaking of Netflix, I finally got booted. I've been sharing passwords for forever, and I just got booted like this week, which is
good. You should have. You're breaking the law. You're stealing. Why are you stealing?
Hey,
it's a bummer.
I got a hot take.
Yeah.
JC, What do they call it? Hard Knocks. Hard Knocks is a HBO show. It's a documentary, right? It's like reality TV meets football. So it's reality TV, so it's kind of fake, but it's about a football team, so it's very real at the same time. Are you guys familiar with the show? Do you watch it?
It's a documentary. It's been around for 20 years. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember the first one that they ever did, I think, with the Ravens. 20 years ago. I used to watch it. Cameras don't belong in locker rooms. If what are these teams getting paid to allow this? Like, why are coaches and owners allowing this? I feel like it's such a
lot of them say no.
Well, the Dolphins didn't. Like, what do they get paid for this? And why say yes to that? I don't know. Cameras in the locker room, no good.
Yeah, they're having every year. They're having a harder and harder time finding a team to do it. And now there's two teams because there's a preseason and a midseason, and it's doubly hard. So
I just don't understand who's
not bullish on that, but it is a good show. Anyway, was there anything else in hot quarter? We had SoFi is always fun, but shitty stock.
I don't think it's a shitty stock. The stock chart doesn't look great and it hasn't. Definitely needs more time for this base to complete. I don't think it's a shitty stock. I think it's an interesting name. I want to see that reversal pattern completed though.
All right, let's talk about chart report here.
Hit it.
Do I have yesterday's pulled up? Yes, I do. Here we go. All right, chart of the day from Cam Hui at Humble Student, just NVIDIA. What else would you expect on NVIDIA earnings day to have an NVIDIA chart? What did I like here? Let's scroll down, and I have to remind myself because I looked at this like yesterday and I've already forgotten. I like this one right from Willie. We talk about weightings a lot, and is it 7 stocks or not? It's not really.
Great tweet from Willie.
Right, it's not really 7 stocks, but we mostly talk about. Most people talk about overweights in relation to technology and maybe discretionary, but I at least don't spend too much time thinking about the top heaviness or lack thereof in all the other sectors. So I enjoy this tweet very much, and this graphic actually really kind of puts it into perspective.
Yep, energy, well known. Chevron and Exxon, communications, well known. Facebook and Google, technology, well known. Microsoft and Apple. And then you get a lot more diversification in some of the other places. You get the most diversification in industrials, where no stock represents more than 4% of the entire index.
Yeah.
It's important to know these things. I think a lot of value add in this tweet.
Do we spend too much time on this though? Worrying about or thinking about sector weighting like this?
I
don't think we spend enough time on it actually.
But is this anything new?
I know, Strazza, you know all of this off the top of your head because you do this every day, but I think a lot of investors are just not aware of just how diversified industrials are. They're not aware that a lot of these tech stocks are not even in the tech index. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of confusion as to what's going on underneath the surface, not to mention they've changed it a whole bunch of times. They took all the REITs out of financials. You know what I mean? So like this is not common knowledge.
How long until I'm right and tech is not a sector? How long does this take? 10 years?
What do you mean tech is not a sector?
They're going to remove tech as a sector. It's too pervasive.
What the hell are you talking
Wow.
about?
Now that's a take. That's a hot take. I love it. I love it.
Everything's
dumb
tech.
take. It's a dumb
Everything's a tech stock. The best oil and gas companies, the best gold miners, they're using software. They're tech. Domino's Pizza. The reason that company took off the way it did 5-10 years ago, tech. They got an app. They're all tech stocks. Every good company is using tech. So if you're going to be around 10, 20 years from now and you're still a solid company, you're a tech company. You're tech and then something else.
Yeah.
You get categorized in that something else, but everything's tech. I think you eventually just have to cut the cord and find a place for every tech stock to go, get rid of tech.
If you want to shake your fist, just Google Domino's tech company, and you'll see 1,000 news articles about Domino's as a tech company because their largest segment of employees are technology employees, right? But obviously this is shenanigans. But
Goldman Sachs is the same.
Not a tech company. It's a shitty pizza company that poisons their consumers.
But it's the best of the shitty pizza companies, huh? Okay, moving on. Anyway, if you guys want the chart report for free, it goes out every single day. The link is on the screen. The link is down below in the description of this video on YouTube. Speaking of links in the video below the video on YouTube, wanted to briefly mention, how could I not mention, the All-Star Charts Black Friday sale. Is that going on, JC? I think it is. Something like that.
I was told that it is. So.
All right. I believe this Black Friday sale ends on Friday, at the end of Friday at like 11:59 p.m. Eastern time, I believe, is the end of this sale. You get, wow, you're going over half off on this thing. I did drop the link. The link is pinned in the very top of the chat. It is also at the very top of the description on YouTube. Special Black Friday, All-Star Charts Premium. Get all access to JC. There it is. Conference calls, the whole thing.
And all these specials, offers, and sales, all that's above my pay grade. But what I can tell you, because I was there, this week's conference call was serious. This was you really need to watch it. And I know there's some premium members out there listening. You saw it. Maybe go see it again. And for those of you who haven't, I think you're doing yourself a disservice. There's a lot of good stuff in there. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Great call. I say it all the time. It's the best thing we do. Got to watch JC's calls twice a month.
All right.
You know, and I get excited for Black Friday. You know, really.
Yeah.
Really good. I got started early.
Me too. I have so many things to buy.
What the hell are you guys buying?
Oh man,
shopping the deals. I don't even know
so
yet.
much. I'm really not. I'm not a big Black Friday person, but this year there are a ton of things that I need, like just little things.
Great.
I'm excited. I'm excited that there's NFL football on Black Friday. You know. Yeah,
it's weird though. You know?
Going to New Jersey, Spencer.
Yeah, I try to stay out of that part of the state as much as I can.
East Rutherford, New Jersey. You're not a fan?
No one's really a fan of the Meadowlands, right? Not even people from New Jersey like the Meadowlands.
Easy. It's a special place. What do you mean?
It's gross, Strazza. It's gross.
Yeah.
It's right next to Newark, New Jersey. Newark, New Jersey is a place that if you never step foot in that town for your entire life, you probably will live a better, longer life.
It's a giant piece of concrete with some giant structures in a swamp. So but it's giant stadium, man.
It's gross.
Wow.
Yeah.
And the stadium is a huge disappointment too. $1.6 billion.
The look on Spencer's face, he lit up when I said Continental Airlines Arena.
Well, okay, that's different. That's
childhood.
That's my childhood right there. Okay.
That's what I thought. Childhood too. I was at Giant Stadium.
Yeah. All right.
That place was a dump also.
It was bad. What I wouldn't give to walk through that. It's still standing. I'd love to go in a little. Anyway, should we do some recess and hop out of here?
I think we should.
All right. Let's get the recess.
Short week, man. Holiday week.
And I want to mention again that we're going to be off obviously tomorrow, and then we're going to be off again on Friday. So we end here, and we'll see you guys on Monday. Let's do some recess though.
Okay, JC, tell us about your turkey.
It's in the fridge, defrosted.
You're gonna butterfly it? Is that what's happening?
I'm thinking about it. I don't know for sure. We did get some questions in the chat about the wine. I'm more of a traditionalist, of course. I like red Burgundy. And I mentioned yesterday that I'm going to go with a Gigondas, which is a Southern Rhone blend, because of my mother-in-law's stuffing is very meaty, and I don't think the Pinot Noir is going to be able to keep up with that. So I'm doing that. But we were asked for maybe some Spanish or Italian recommendations. You know, skip the Brunello, skip the Barolo. Too much for the turkey. You know, maybe a Barbera di Alba. If you really have your heart set on Italian wine, the Barbera is going to be pretty good there. Actually, it'll be very good. So you can go Barbera if you want to go Italian. If you want to go Spanish, I'm partial to a Ribera del Duero. Ribera del Duero is going to be 100% Tempranillo. Highly recommend that if you have your heart set on Spanish. But I don't think there's any reason to get cute here. Just stick with the stuff that works. Stick with the red Burgundy. No reason to get cute.
So will you smoke a cigar tomorrow?
Will I smoke a cigar tomorrow? Probably not.
No. When do you smoke them then? If not on
It's too cold. It's too cold. We're doing our backyard. I'm putting in a fireplace, so maybe I'll start smoking some cigars then on Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is a good cigar night.
I'm asking.
Sambuca and a
JC,
cigar.
It's supposed to be warm tomorrow. It's supposed to be like in the mid-50s.
Is it?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Wow. That's nice. Good for you guys. It's gonna be warm here too.
Or I guess low 50s now. Whatever.
Yeah. Sorry.
It's fine. I mean, we can't all live in Florida, but whatever.
Sous vide. JC, we used to talk about cooking with our sous vides all the time. I don't even know where mine is anymore. You still mingle with the sous vide?
Yeah, I mean, it really just depends on what you're doing. Sous vide's great if you're going to make a lot of food. Like if you're going to have like a big dinner party, and you want to make like 10 filet mignons or like 10 chicken breasts or duck breasts or something. You want to make them all. You can just pull them and finish it up, crisp them up to serve. It's great. Chicken breast on the sous vide is, it's probably the best chicken breast you're going to have. I mean, hard. Lobster, sous vide is great for things that are easy to overcook.
Yeah, good point.
Think of it like that. Lobster, for example, very easy to overcook.
Yeah, I don't
so think about that. What else on the sous vide?
So shrimp would be good with the sous vide. No?
Big prawns or something, maybe. Yeah. Same concept as the lobster. Sous vide is great. At the tailgate the other day, I was at the Dolphins Giants game in Miami on the bachelor party, and the tailgate next to us, they were playing dominoes and they had the steaks in the sous vide. I was very impressed at the tailgate.
That's pretty cool.
That is cool.
I'm going to read through some NVIDIA price targets to tell you or illustrate just how worthless the sell side is. Rosenblatt. Let's start at the bottom. Lowest price target, UBS, 580. What's the current stock price? 500?
500.
480. It's 482, but yeah.
UBS, 580. Morgan, 603. Goldman, 603. Goldman, 625. Mizuho, 625. JPM, 650. BMO, 650. Stifel, 665. Truist, 674. Wells Fargo, 675. Bernstein, B of A, 700. Rosenblatt, 1100.
So then why are you saying that the sell side is useless in this particular case?
They're all way above the current price.
But
all are just rushing to have like the highest.
What's wrong with that?
Price targets are supposed to be 12 months out.
Are they?
Sell side price targets.
Not one analyst thinks this thing is fully priced or maybe even overpriced at this point and wants a price target below the current stock price. Not one analyst.
Have fun putting that note out and having to talk to clients then.
That's my point. Career risk there. So they all follow each other.
Man.
They're all bullish. And you got price targets, $500 range. I don't know.
Yeah. Yep.
Analysts.
All right. I'm super excited for Thanksgiving this year. In my family, we had a tradition growing up where every other year we would all go to a hotel right outside of Philadelphia and just kind of turn into a weekend. And we haven't done that for quite some time. The kids grew up and people move away and it's hard, but we're doing it again this year. We're bringing it back. My family is going to a hotel. We're going to enjoy, no one's going to cook or clean. We're just going to eat the food that they prepare, a beautiful buffet. We're going to have, fun hanging out in a hotel together, just like old times. And I'm excited. So that's, yeah. Don't knock on going to a hotel for Thanksgiving. They do it good. They do it good. It's not homemade, but they do it good. It's all you can eat for sure. Okay. On that take, I think we'll wrap it up here. There is going to be no What the Fic today. There will potentially be a hot corner today. at 1 o'clock Eastern time. We're gonna have to see how Steve's painting progresses throughout the day. So maybe stay tuned for that. I don't know.
I would love to do it. We're gonna try our best to do it, but we are gonna play it by ear. We'll see.
Yeah,
I can barely
All
move
right.
in the house. There's just furniture and tarps everywhere.
I get it. I get it.
I'm
So
high on paint fumes. It's really no good.
if
What
we
are
don't,
what are you guys
Yeah.
most thankful for as we let everybody go for Thanksgiving? Strazza, what are you most thankful for?
Friends and family, always.
What about you,
Wow,
Spencer?
that's cliched. I mean, I'm thankful. I just moved into a new house. It's a big, as big a space as I've lived in as an adult, bigger, and I'm thankful for this beautiful house that I get to live in now. And now I have to fill it with crap. But yeah, I'm still coming off a high. What about you?
But you're through the move, you're through the tough parts.
I'm through the tough part. Now I've got to fill it up with stuff. But yeah.
What do you think?
I think I'm some of my friends are not in the best health conditions.
Yep.
For a variety of different reasons. And I fortunately am in amazing health and I feel great. So I'm definitely thankful for that. I'm very thankful that the Miami Dolphins are in first place. And I'm incredibly thankful that the Jets offense is unwatchable. I mean, it's painful to watch. So that brings joy in my life. So yeah, that's what I'm thankful for this year.
Good. All right. Well, if we don't see you guys in the chat, everyone watching on Twitter, on YouTube, on our site, stockmarkettv.com, happy Thanksgiving, of course. We'll be back on Monday, refreshed, excited, and hopefully the market behaves the same way. So
5 pounds heavier.
That's right. All right. Have a good one, guys.
Adios.
Everybody.
Run it. I can't take no loss. I don't even know what it costs. I hit the ground, then I go